Hello, everybody. I'm here. BRAFF is here. BRAFF, say hi.
Hi.
It's the Zoomer pod, or the Zoomer week, I guess. We have a very special.
Every week is Zoomer week.
Every week is Zoomer week. We have a very special, in my opinion, set this week. I'm not gonna intro it too much though. We're just gonna get into it because it's a good one. So let me pull it up. I'm pulling it up on
Oh.
the Streamlabs. Streamlabs
You gotta
taking
pull up.
forever.
You gotta pull up our chats. You gotta show that as well. Like the correct.
I can just read them at some point.
True.
All right. See? Let's get it. All right, we got it. Sorry for the minute of black screen, everyone. Okay, but we're here. BRAFF can see it. You can see it. We're gonna watch. All right. So, well, I guess I can
So
pause
slow.
it. Do you want me to go fast? Oh wait, no. This
No,
is
it's
just
just
laggy.
it's
All
laggy.
right. So, I don't want to intro this too much. I kind of just want to let you guys see it. But before, the main issue facing Smoothie's team for me was figuring out a way to kill Celesteela because I didn't have a fire type. And as you can see, Raichu. So the only way to kill it is fire moves. Well, not even usually. But it was a struggle trying to figure out ways to kill Celesteela. Anyway, that's a Dugtrio. It's Dynamaxed. Smackdown removes ground immunities or hits flying types out of the air. I don't know, something like that. Yeah. If you remove the ground immunity, Celesteela is weak to ground moves. Can you confirm, BRAFF?
That I can't confirm because it's steel type and steel is weak to ground.
Yes. And then Dugtrio dies. So
Oh wait, do you almost lose this? I don't remember.
I don't know. I don't remember. But the point is, like, I honestly think this is a pretty good example of like usually in Max you want to get everything out of your Max turns. Get 3 Max turns, ideally 3 attacks. But the real goal is getting the most out of your Max turns. And the most out of your Max turns when you're playing against Celesteela isn't even necessarily getting off 3 attacks and killing a bunch of things. It's just killing Celesteela because Celesteela is that good. Anyway, we're just watching the cleanup now. Terrakion strong.
Yeah.
Now it's Golisopod versus the world. It's over because Tapu Fini exists. Yeah.
True.
So not a ton to talk about. Just cool prep, which we'll talk about after the set, and also Tapu Fini is pretty gross. Like this Golisopod is just done. Can't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so that's.
It was fun.
All right, we don't need to watch this.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
And
actually,
of course, somebody went for the fake out with the Raichu because he's expecting the beat up plus DMAX Terrakion.
Yes,
so that's like
of course.
What happened in Gen 8.
Exactly. And we'll get into why there was a Max Dugtrio because there are reasons. There really are. All right, but first let's finish the set. Well, maybe finish the set. We'll see. Okay, this is game 2 though. We see a switch up of the leads. Guardy Cursola. In season 2, I don't know that I knew what Cursola did. He does.
Cursola doesn't do anything.
Doesn't it have like a massive special attack?
Yeah, but like that's it.
But regardless, we do see the trace of the arena trap, which is actually pretty cool. But we see the switch up of first I went for Max Dugtrio. Now that I've set the expectation, there's the beat up strat. Waste the Max. This one's basically overall.
And they whispered the Dugtrio, not the Terrakion.
Yeah, exactly. Now I should go for Guardy. Yeah, now I should go for Guardy. That crit definitely didn't matter. Because the Sand Chip, no Sash or anything, that was definitely dying no matter what. Yeah, Celesteela comes in, but it can't max, and although neutral moves typically can't kill Celesteela, this is a +4 Terrakion, and it does 50% protect. Oh my lord. So basically what we're seeing, and it even lives the Aqua Jet. Oh my god, what a mon. Smackdown.
Wait, yeah, okay. I was wondering, like, Smackdown does that much, and I remember, yeah, +3.
No, +4.
Or +4. +4 times 3.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. y'all know what's gonna happen. Like, Tapu Fini comes in, and Goliath Pod can't do anything. All
I
right,
miss high horsepower. That was a fun move. Tingmaloo
yeah,
would be better if it had high horsepower.
Fish are better. All
Yeah,
right, okay, now I'm switching
great.
back to the normal screen. All right, so before I involve you a bunch, Braff, I just want to say this was obviously a very good prep game, obviously a very good Dugtrio game, but I think what probably was lost on me at the time, and what I hope is not lost on everyone currently, is that this game still highlights, like last week, highlights the power of Tapu Fini and Terrakion. They were amazing this week. Terrakion, obviously, game two, huge sweeper, did a ridiculous amount of damage because it's you can depend on Terrakion to do a ridiculous amount of damage. Uh, Even when it's not boosted, it's really strong, and if you get the boosts, it just melts stuff. And then Tapu Fini just doesn't let the opponent play the game sometimes. Like the Golisopod just became very scary, but it became useless because Tapu Fini exists. Um, yeah, those two Pokemon are good. Thoughts, Braff?
I think that they are very good Pokemon, and you shouldn't have dropped Tapu Fini.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
Wait, Braff.
yeah, yeah.
Genuine question, because I definitely asked you at the time. You were
hmm
pro dropping Tapu Fini at the time, right?
I think at the time I was, but more because you had hyped me up on Tapu Koko before the draft.
Yes,
So like
I
once it
was
became
very hyped on Tapu
available,
Koko.
so
Yeah, I
once
was
it
hyped.
became available, I was like with you, like all in.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely in hindsight, you should have kept Fini.
Yeah, obviously. No, I was just wondering because I think I said in a previous episode that I believe Steve was the only person who I floated Fini for Coco by, and he was like very, very sure that it was not a good move. I think he was the only person that was like, don't do that. And I was like, everyone else says it's a good idea, and I think it's a good idea, so I'm going to do it. It was a bad idea. Basically, don't not listen to Steve. It's bad.
Did he say to keep Fini?
Yeah.
Yeah, listen to
Um,
Steve.
yes, let's always listen to Steve. Other things. So, this week we wanted to sort of focus on prep, because, uh, first of all, as many of you know, probably, Braff and I still do prep, still like consult on prep, but especially in like the first two seasons, we're very, we were
We
prep
spent so
partners.
much time on mocks
We
and
did,
prep and stuff.
we
Like
did.
nowadays, I'll spend like half an hour
I don't mock
maybe,
anymore.
and last time I'd spend like 3 hours.
Yeah, I don't mock anymore. And I definitely
Yeah.
don't prep for as long. But this was a prep baby. And just a little bit of process. Like I actually kind of misremembered what happened. Well, no, I kind of remembered what happened. I think because I was thinking that I figured out the Terrakion strat, but didn't get the Max Dugtrio. So I was floating to Braff, um, Smackdown Terrakion because like the main problem we were trying to address was you can't do super effective damage to Celesteela, and if you can't do super effective damage to Celesteela, you're gonna lose to Celesteela because it will kill you faster than you kill it. Like I saw we were floating, or I was floating, Weather Ball, Sunny Day, or no, I was floating Weather Ball,
You were
Drift
floating
Blim.
Weather Ball?
Yeah, I was floating Weather Ball, Drift Blim to get max flares, and you were suggesting Sunny Day Morgrim, but Morgrim did not get Sunny Day in Gen 8. I think it might get it in Gen 9 though. Might be wrong on that. So like that's the type of stuff we were playing with. Because not only did I not have a fire Pokemon, I straight up like didn't have any fire moves on the team. So that wasn't an option. Obviously, electric wasn't an option because of Raichu. So I started looking at, I think, like Trick Iron Ball stuff first. And then I noticed that Terrakion was like one of the 4 Pokemon in Gen 8. I think it's still limited, but it was certainly limited in Gen 8. It was like one of the 4 to 6 Pokemon in the format that got Smackdown. Obviously, you all saw Smackdown is a weak rock move, I believe 50 base power, that grounds the opponent. So it works like an Iron Ball, I believe. Um, So obviously, if you do that, now you do have a way to hit Celesteela with super effective moves. So I was looking then at Delmise, but that doesn't really make sense speed-wise, because how are you doing a Terrakion strategy with Delmise? Delmise is just going to move after Celesteela. It can get a Steel Spike off in front of two physical attackers. It can get an Airstream. Bad news. Very bad news. So that doesn't work. Then Dugtrio. I was looking at like Dugtrio Earthquakes or high horsepowers. Doesn't really work. Not enough damage. Very importantly, I was looking at because I was expecting Celesteela Raichu. Dugtrio just gets faked out. You don't even have to think about it. You just fake out Dugtrio. So BBRAFF comes up with the idea.
Yeah.
Max Dugtrio. Max Dugtrio with Soft Sand to guarantee a KO on Celesteela after the Smackdown. So that's where it came from, right?
Yeah, but then we talk about maybe not soft sand.
Mm-hmm.
So because you don't need it for the calcs with Smackdown trip, but
Mm-hmm.
you just did anyway because Sash Morgram was better.
Yeah, and so I guess I have a couple questions, just prep related questions. So this is a really good example of like when you know what's gonna happen, it's much easier. Like when you know what lead is gonna come, or you know what game plan generally your opponent is going to adopt, it becomes so much easier to uh, have these like elaborate, wacky strategies pay off. Like I think Steve, that's what Steve does so well. That's what I always respect about Steve is he is able to call out or envision how the opponent's gonna play so much clearly than I can. Um, and he gets these like wacky strategies to work that like we see Kastap9 later. I'm not good at getting wacky strategies to work. Yeah, that'll be a fan favorite too. It's definitely a BBRAFF
Yeah,
favorite. Uh,
it's my favorite of all time.
that was a statement though. There was a question in my head. I don't know what it was. I guess it was
Something about prep.
yeah, I guess like um I don't know. How do you approach well so I, I kind of described how I approach matchups where the sort of direction of the game is clear. How do you try to approach prep when it's not clear what your opponent's gonna do?
Um, I so one thing I feel like that I'm seeing that a lot more nowadays, where
Yeah.
there's like Gen 9, so there's not like great big obvious DMX threats as much.
Hmm.
Also, we're all a little more experienced now, so like you can make other things work instead of leaning heavily on your like duos and stuff.
Yeah, and I mean
Um,
Terras. You can flip
yeah, and
matchups.
Terras. So generally, like nowadays when I try to prep, it's more of just like having like multiple options, like a wide like this mod works. So even if you have like a specific lead that you think will be good, it either has multiple options or you have other options to adjust if you lose the first game, because like it's really hard to predict what your opponent's bringing. Now,
Hmm.
so just make sure you don't get like make sure your team is like wide both offensively and defensively for so it's not like can't be steamrolled by a specific
Hmm.
strategy, even if that might not come. Just make sure it won't happen.
Yeah. And I mean like I feel like one of the things that I probably undervalue like these days is just like strong neutral stab, which is funny because I've had Sylveon and Hatterene in Gen 9. Like those are two Pokemon I've had in 2 seasons of Gen 9, and I haven't really done much with either of them. I think they're probably just not. I don't know. Like I feel like I definitely let down Sylveon. Hat's probably not in the best place right now. Um, but it's just hard because it's easy for me to say, oh, I should have thrown out a lot more hyper voices. But like when I played Sylveon, I was throwing out hyper voices, so it's tough. Like well, like considering team context because it can go pretty deep of like how your mon is really situated. Like when you're drafting, you think, oh, this fits here for these reasons. but then when you're playing, you discover so many more things about how you play your team and like what you want to do with different mons, that you get a much more nuanced understanding of like how a Pokemon does or doesn't fit into your team. Um, which again, I'm like talking in circles. But I guess my
Yeah.
point is like, uh, yeah, it's easy to say like strong neutral spread moves are really good right now, but at the same time, like I've kind of struggled to take not take get value out of that. So
You don't need spread moves even like just like a strong neutral like if you get a strong enough neutral single target move, like
mhm,
it can do like insane damage. Like even
mhm,
back in Gen 8, I thought that Mienshao was insane with its close combats.
yeah,
And like if we had Mienshao now, I feel like it'd be really good just throwing out close
mhm,
combats doing big damage.
yeah. I
And
mean, sorry, go ahead.
no, that's keep going.
That's it.
I don't have that much to add.
Okay, that was my idea with Metacham, and I think like Jordan, like very much so sponsored that when we were talking about the draft. Um, just like nobody wants to eat Metacham close combats, but I don't know. Like Metacham also felt kind of underwhelming. I guess Metacham's a little different because like it can deal strong neutral damage, and if that's a 2-hit KO, it's getting O-code back, so it's like not super worth it. Um, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I always get to this point where I'm just like, all right, I just need to play bulkier. Like I just need to play more my style. Not even bulkier, just slower pace. Like Arboliva was by far the best Pokemon on my team, and it was usually the best Pokemon on my team by just like being a Leech Seed bot and not dying. You know?
And there's nothing bad about that.
Nope. Oh my god, I was watching. I rewatched the season 4, the like me versus Jordan finals recently.
Oh
That's
yeah,
Steve's cast of it because it like
that was
popped
like
up.
really close, right?
Yeah, it popped up on my YouTube. That that match was even better than I remembered. Like obviously, still apologies. There was a lot of RNG in game 3. I like never full parried, and Umbreon was parried
Oh,
the whole game.
is that
Um,
Dumbreon doing Dumbreon things?
yeah, but I forgot how good that set was. That set was incredible. It's just like and like Goltrace was some of the best like Pokemon I've played. Period. I don't know. It's tough to find your style, um, and like mons that fit it. Because like sometimes there are mons that you think fit your style, but for whatever reason, are like not good or don't mesh or whatever. I don't know. It's a struggle. I guess. Um, I don't know. As far as your uh, extensive experience in the league, Braff, do you feel like
Hmm.
there was anything that sort of um, conflicted with your style and your team this season? Because like, or this is gonna sound weird, but like, it's the first time you missed playoffs, which
Yeah,
is incredibly impressive that you haven't
I
already.
think I think part of it is more. Yeah, no, I think part of it's just like I was so well adjusted to Dynamax. Like I
Hmm.
don't have quite the same success without Dynamax. Like BDSP season I did pretty
Hmm.
well, but in like VBLN wasn't as good because I missed playoffs VBLN one season,
Yeah,
and SPS I went 3-4, but I somehow made playoffs even though
but
I was 3-4, so
Gen
I
8
wasn't good.
non-max, you were good.
So yeah, but I was okay. But so part of it was my style that like I got in my groove was
Hmm.
it was always about the Okos, calcing
Yeah,
to support the Dynamax Pokemon, get
yeah,
the Okos, calcing to live the opposing Dynamax supported Okos,
yeah.
and just like work from that. And I don't think I've quite adjusted as well to the slower pace of the game.
Hmm.
I'm pretty I like VGC where it's more you can switch around, play slow. But
Hmm.
draft I find it harder to build a team that can win the long game
Yeah.
week to week.
Yeah, I like and like I like slower paced better, but I think I was also better by the end of Max. Obviously, the beginning of Max I was really bad. Um, but by the end of Max, I think I was also better for the same reason. Like, it felt so much easier to prep because it's just like if you drafted well, and I think, like even the Ghost draft, which was like a total like um throw on the first two picks, it ended up being good because Feeney is gross and Traken's really good. Um, so like it actually I think ended up being a pretty decent draft. So like if I didn't like shoot myself in the foot on the first two picks, I think it would have been an excellent draft. And then the next season, I had the Gudra Comfey team. That was a good team. Obviously, the Metagross team. That's like, yeah, it's biased, but I think it's one of the best teams. It like that anyone's had. Like, it was such a ridiculous team. It made it so easy to win. Um,
Did that have Goltris?
no, that was Metagross, Salamence, Rotom Heat.
Salamence. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Goldtrace
Did you ever have
existed yet.
Goltris?
Yeah, BBRAFF. Non-max? It was the MVP logo.
Oh. Was that Daddy Plan?
Yeah, Daddy Plan Part 1, I think.
I forgot. I've forgotten so much from Daddy Plan.
I was like, I went like 5 straight weeks of just like, or like 4 or 5 straight weeks playing like Tay, AC,
Oh.
etc. And it was just like, Goldtrace comes in, sets up, and kills everything for like 4 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
I don't remember a single thing from that season other than I used Weather Team and went like 6-1 or 5-2.
Yeah, but my point is, I think if you had a good draft, specifically around a good like around one good Maxmon, so like my two good Max drafts, Gudra and Metagross, and then like good Mons that could support the Maxmon but also max themselves or set up post max. So like Rotom Heat could set up post max or max. Salamence could support Metagross maxing or max. Stuff like that. Those Pokemon, or sorry, those teams, um, it felt much easier to prep because it was like, all right, I know what I want to max. Does it match up well into all the other maxes on the other team? Yes or no? If no, is there anything? Is there any move or item or EV spread I could give it to match up positively into those Pokemon? If not, who else can be my main max target this week? It was like it was very easy to be more systematic about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like when I was able to just be like, okay, Politoed, Ludicolo, yes, that's good. Garchomp, yes, that's good. Celesteal, yes, that's good. And then just like bring the same 4 months every week. Or even
Yeah,
the
I
next
mean,
season
okay,
where
actually that might be
that was tiers, I think.
that
We can't really
yeah
compare tiers.
that might be the best draft though. Also, Bohm's season 2.
Yeah, that was crazy. But then season 4, where I didn't draft as well. Like Stakataka and Spectre and Max weren't like as good as I had
Yeah,
hoped.
yeah, you thought they were gonna be amazing.
But I found the hidden gem in Guzzlord, and basically
Yeah,
every week there's really hard to mitigate Trick or Treat plus Mac Darkness.
yeah, that was
Like
awesome.
there's nothing that like I brought that like so much.
Yeah,
There was nothing that the opponents could do really once I got up Trick Room.
yeah, and it's like, do they have a good Max Starfall user? Yes, no. How do I deal with it?
Yeah.
And then like,
Even if yes, I could just run like
yeah,
AV and eat the hit because
exactly.
Guzzlord. Guzzlord's stupid. I miss Guzzlord.
Yeah, I mean, it was so easy to be so linear with it because it's like in Terra, like the Terramon isn't the only mon you have to worry about. Like the other mons that are not Terrad can be of comparable levels of threatening. You know what I mean? Um, Dynamax, it was so easy because it's like, okay, can I 1v1 this threat with my Maxmon? You know? So
Mm-hmm.
like if you were planning on a primary max option, you would basically have to just look at 11 1v1 matchups. And then obviously build in, you know, like it's a little more complicated. Like if you're playing against Whimsicott, then you have to say, okay, like what if the Whimsicott's fake tiering me? How do I deal with that? What if it's tricking me? Then you have to deal with that. But mostly it was just like analyzing the max matchups. I
Totally.
thought at least. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So
I would agree. It was just, and that's why Terra is different because Terra isn't nearly as impressive,
yeah,
and it's just harder to like do
predict.
it like play so linearly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can. It's just, yeah. I guess you said it's harder. Yeah. It's just you have to consider a lot more, right? Um.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I hard prepped Ray's uh extreme speed dragon. Extreme speed with Chen Pao this season.
Hmm.
Um. And I got obliterated by Terra flying, Terra Blast flying. Like it's just hard. You need to be ready for multiple stuff that's multiple, you know. But I have some ideas about how to be better versus more things next season. Some
Okay.
targets. I have some targets, but I'm not gonna spoil those. But yeah, there a lot of 'em- I feel like I am because like after last season I was worried because first of all, just my worst season of all time, and I've had like really bad seasons. So having a record that was so much worse than even my worst seasons before that was just very uncomfortable. And I felt like it was so bad that it was hard to even take anything valuable away from it, like learn from it at all. I was like, I don't feel like I learned anything because I didn't make any progress even really. Um, so I'm happy because this season it feels like I do have stuff to build off of, and I feel like I do have some clarity of where I want to go next season. I don't know. How do you feel about that? Again, with just like, I mean, you've still had a pretty decent season, but like relative to your
Yeah.
success,
Um,
like it was pretty disappointing. So like, how do you feel going forward? I
I
guess.
think well, I think there was also a significant part where I didn't put in as much prep.
Yeah,
I
of
would just
course.
like focus on other things and just not prep as much. And that
Yeah,
also like it was like versus Jordan, I didn't even try to make a real team. I tried to go and scrulp.
yeah,
And I think like I'm not saying I didn't try because everybody played really well. Like I still tried, but I feel like if I want to do better, I need to put in more effort.
yeah, for sure.
And but I've also learned I think I learned this season that I don't when the top heavy team isn't like absolutely insane with the top heaviness, it can get a little annoying. Like I thought
Hmm.
my team was fairly wide, but the two 1 pointers really hurt when I'd have like four mons and I'd just struggle to figure out the last two mons because there'd be nothing that fit perfectly. I'd
Yeah,
just throw something on there for the sake of it because it wasn't Flabebe.
yeah.
So I'd be like, okay. And that part helped me, I mean, hurt me because I'd have like less coherent, optimized
Hmm.
strategies and game plans. So I feel like drafting wide, or at least if you go top heavy, making sure it's like top heavy with like something broken, not
Yeah. Well,
because like Iron Valiant's good, but it's
hmm,
not like Dragonite Team Pow, do something like that.
yeah,
Or
exactly. It's not centralizing.
yeah.
Like y- Iron Valiant is good for a top heavy team in the sense that you can bring it every week comfortably because it can do stuff every week. But it's also not good because like you're saying with like the last two mons, like it's not about can you bring the top four mons. In Terra, you usually can bring your top four mons, frankly. It's
Hmm.
more like I think I didn't bring Roaring Moon week one. Like because it didn't have a great matchup. I still could have brought it, but I sort of made a point of like uh my sixth mon is gonna be whatever it was, Metacham, because I want to not bring Roaring Moon and like I don't know. I didn't think it was like funny or cool or anything. I just thought it would be fun like strategically to sort of keep that uh card up my sleeve. I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, I get what you mean.
Yeah. Um so there's that of like it's easy to have a top four that makes sense, but Iron Valiant kind of hurts you in a top heavy team because you don't know what your opponent's going to bring necessarily. And um like I think a bigger issue for top heavy teams is not is your top good enough to bring, it's do your mid tiers or not, or your fifth and sixth best Pokemon, how bringable are they week to week? Like are they Pokemon that are good but matchup dependent? Because that's going to be an issue because you don't really have anything to replace them with. You
So
want.
that was it for me.
Mhm. Go ahead.
Like I didn't. like like my options were like Stantler or Bisharp, and I
Mhm.
didn't. Most of the time they weren't great. I didn't want to bring Stantler or Bisharp.
Yeah, like I had
So,
Stantler. Stantler's good when you want it, but you don't always want it. You definitely don't always want it because if they don't, like, first of all, if they have Defiant or something, then you're running a Frisk set, and if you're not saying Trick Room, like Frisk non-Trick Room Stantler is like pretty bad. Um, yeah, I don't really have more to add to that. But
yeah,
if your mid tier was like Electros, that thing can come every week. It's gross. Like you can just it's never going to team sweep your opponent. Like even if you are run a coil set, you're probably not going to win single-handedly with Electros once over an entire season. But you can bring it every week. You could even just like I know Jordan did better with it than I did, and like other people have had better results with it than I did. But personally, when I had it, I would just like bring it every week toward the end of the season, and it would just come in the back with specs, and I would trust that if it's a 1v1, it'll win. If it's a 2v1, it might win. If I'm up, I'm definitely gonna win because you know that it can just trade a KO very easily, or pick up,
hmm
be a +1 KO, pretty consistently, and I think that's super valuable, right?
totally.
Yeah.
Um,
So, um, what else with prep? I'm trying to think. Um, I mean, like you said, it's a time game, really. Like my best results have basically, um, like, I'm sorry, I'm not thinking about this correctly. Since like season two, because I was definitely playing a lot season two, but I think the teams were too bad and I was too bad for it to matter. But since then, basically, there's been a direct line between how much I put into it and the performance. Like that's the biggest thing is how much time you put into it, right?
yes,
Yeah.
because yeah, because like I've still been doing like fairly okay recently,
Hmm.
but I'm not putting nearly as much time in, and like we've been seeing, I'm not winning as much.
Yeah. And I mean
Um,
like and I think like well so with Daddy like I've been really impressed with Daddy in recent seasons. I don't know that he's necessarily spending more time now than he used to, but I know that
oh yeah, you never spend any time.
in the past he used to not spend any time at all. Like he would send messages of like, "Oh, I'm playing in 10 minutes. I'm gonna start prepping." Um, right in the early seasons.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I know, like some people who like didn't want to spend any time, and so they just like use the exact same sets from
yeah.
the previous week.
But specifically, whatever season Daddy did the all the like team builders with other people. You know what I mean? Like he did
hmm
live team builders with other coaches. That um, like at least spectating him, that was a big turning point for his like consistency as a because he's had strong results throughout like all of VBL history, but he hasn't been consistent. But he's been much more consistent lately, and I sort of saw that as the turning point. And I mean, I don't know if he was prepping outside of those videos additionally, but like those videos were like an hour or two, so like he definitely started prepping more, and you saw the immediate like you saw the immediate changing in like consistent strong results, which I've been really impressed by. We know he's the worst coach in the league, but even the worst coach in the league, if they spend enough time on prep, can win some games. You know.
Exactly, like the
Um,
Detroit Lions.
well, they're not the worst team in the league. They had the worst draft in the league, but they have
But they're, I don't know. My sister,
they have a
she just
Monra.
always likes to say Detroit's the worst, and
They're better than the
I mean like
Bears.
probably,
Well,
but like
Because Justin Fields is bad.
how dare you? He's better than McCorkle.
Uh, I don't know that he is going to be actually. And
Yeah,
I'm no
maybe
longer
not
a
right now.
McCorkle believer. I'm no
Yeah,
longer a
I mean
McCorkle believer, but he actually might not be better.
No,
currently
he might not. He might not be.
or in the future. Because he's
In the
like
future, he definitely could be.
he
But
definitely could be, but he needs to
that's the
get
thing.
better at passing. Because like sorry for people that don't care about sports and are just
Yeah.
here for
Okay, we're
Pokemon. We'll be
shifting
back.
now.
We'll be back in a second. But my only point with Justin Fields is like people wildly underrate how good Lamar is at passing. Like Justin Fields is
Yeah,
so far from that. You need to be like,
he's so firm from that.
yeah. I mean, like Jalen Hurts also didn't take a jump until he learned how to pass. Like Fields is not even a bad passer. He is like league worst, awful, terrible passer. He needs to turn it around in a big way if he's ever going to actually be good. Obviously, he's a good runner, but that's not enough.
Yeah, but the runs are so fun.
Yeah, they're fun.
Like any play, he could just break off like a 50-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, but it's not gonna. I mean, it doesn't
It's
by itself
understandable.
lead to long-term success or playoff
Yeah,
success.
I
It
know.
just
The
doesn't.
thing is like he can throw the ball well.
All right, we're
He
done.
just
We're done.
doesn't.
We're done.
He
We
just
can
doesn't do
continue.
it
No,
consistently,
stop,
and
stop.
he needs to do it consistently. Oh, Sam,
He's
next
bad.
season we need to. No, wait, Sam. Next season we need to do another football
Maybe.
team video.
I'm a maybe.
You
Okay,
didn't
but
join me for the Star Wars one, and the Star Wars one was ass.
we're back to Mons. Although I guess we can probably wrap up soon. But yes, sorry about that. Everybody, comment about how annoying BRAFF is. Also comment Justin Fields bad. I would appreciate that. But as far as Pokemon goes, so we talked a little bit about prep. We talked about how this specific prep shook out. Do you want me to read the chat or no?
No, we don't need to.
Okay. Yeah, well, I basically covered it. But yeah, I mean, we got a little process. We got a little like we're both two cooked bums, and why are we why do we suck now? These are very interesting questions. I hope everyone enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there
Also
anything we
comment.
missed?
Also comment. Daddy is the worst.
Well, yes, Daddy is the worst coach in the league. Comment. Actually, no. Comment. So we're not gonna like rig this because Daddy will say it's rigged. Comment who you think is the worst coach in the league, and if you say me, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. Comment who is the worst coach in the league and why it's Daddy.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. I don't know. Is that it? Do you have anything else, Braff?
No,
Okay. All
I
right.
don't think so.
Everybody, watch out for Dugtrio. It's Dugtrio.
Wugtrio. No, watch out for Wugtrio.
Max Dugtrio is coming for you. I want you all to know.
Dynamax Wugtrio. Max Geyser.